For 5 minutes.
And I thank the chair. I just want to start my statement or my questions with a brief statement first. In your statement, you constantly, and I've heard you say this before, compare the CFPB to other banking regulators. But as I said yesterday, I believe that's an inappropriate comparison. You stated specifically, Congress has consistently provided for independent funding for bank supervisors to ensure that banks are examined regularly and thoroughly for both safety and soundness and compliance with the law. But your agency doesn't have a safety and soundness aspect or mission to it, does it? Yours is a consumer protection. And so the reason why the banking regulators have independent funding is because of this safety and soundness function. That's authority. And you don't want members of Congress or the political aspect to get involved of affecting anything dealing with safety and soundness of financial institutions, as opposed to what you're involved with, what you just told us, which is consumer protection. You have a consumer protection function. Now, the other consumer protection agencies on the federal level, what do they have? They have a funding mechanism that goes through the appropriation process, unlike yours. Yours is a consumer protection agency, just like the other ones, should go through the appropriation process. What also do they have? What's the other difference? If you were like the other banking regulators that you suggest that you are, well then, wouldn't you have a board as a sort of check and balance, as opposed to just one lead authority, which is where you are? All the other ones have boards in their framework. Yours does not. So I don't think your comparisons to bank regulators is the appropriate one, and therefore the appropriation process should be, as we said before. So we have a check and balance on what comes out of the agency that you may be involved with. Let me go to the questions, and I appreciate the fact that you were commended on giving yes and no answers, and so I throw out some easy questions for yes and no answers. Talking about the legal settlement and servicing issue that is out there right now in the news, let me ask you this. Is there a difference, do you believe, first of all, this is a fundamental issue, between penalties for criminal wrongdoings, wrongfully foreclosed on homeowners, versus mere paperwork violations? Is there a difference in how those should be treated?
Congressman, there's an ongoing legal enforcement action.
Right, and that's what I'm asking.
And it would not be appropriate for any member of the government, me or anyone else, to comment on what's involved in those negotiations.
Well, let me ask you this.
That would just not be right.
Well, have you pushed for or advocated a recommended dollar amount with regard to the other regulators involved in the situation?
You know, Congressman, I know that given the level of problems that have been uncovered with mortgage servicing, that the acting director of the comptroller of the currency has been here in Congress to talk about violations of state law and local law.
But what about you? You're here today, so just tell us what you're doing. Are you making recommendations to the other regulators as far as the dollar amount of the penalties involved in this case?
As the government is trying to negotiate with those servicers who the OCC found have violated the law, they have asked that no one speak about the content.
So you cannot tell can you tell us what your role is in this?
I can certainly tell you what our role is.
Okay, good. Have you made recommendations to them with regard to what the penalty should be?
What I can tell you about
That'd be part of your role. Is that part of your role, to make recommendations to them with regard to penalties and dollar amounts in these cases?
The Secretary of the Treasury has asked us for the consumer agency to give advice. The Department of Justice
so the answer is yes.
Congressman, it's the case that the government is trying to negotiate.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to find out what you're doing.
On behalf of the American people.
I understand that. What are you doing?
They have asked.
Will the gentleman yield?
I only have 30 seconds left. So
the Department of Justice has made clear that they don't want people who are part of the government.
I understand that. Can you tell us, since they have asked you to be involved in this, as your answer is that, what legal authority does a political appointee have in a situation like this, making recommendations with regard to either civil or criminal actions?
Congressman, I think we need cops on the beat to enforce the law.
Great, but we need to know what the law is. Can you cite what the authority is to enforce that law that you have?
We need to enforce the law. The
Can you
Office
tell me
of
what
the
that law is,
Comptroller-
please?
The Office of the Controller of the Currency has been here to make clear
I'm not talking
that
about the OCC,
the
I'm talking
mortgage
about you and the
servicers
CFPB. Can
have
you cite what,
violated the law.
can you cite what the legal authority is for you to do these actions?
Gentleman's time has expired.